Hi, my name is Pranav Kumar. I'm a senior here at Frisco High School. I'm graduating early, so this is actually my third year here at Frisco, and I did come in as a freshman. I'm 15 years old. I want to study spine surgery, well, orthopedic and a specialization in spine. I'm part of the Blue Crew, which is like the pep team here at Frisco, and I am Frisky the raccoon, the mascot. Yeah, lots of fun. It is very hot in there. I grew up right outside of Detroit, Michigan, so not native to Texas here. My plans for the future, I will be attending the University of Texas at Dallas next fall. I plan to major in biology and minor in business and Spanish because it's always good to have a foreign language. I hope to attend UT Southwestern Medical School and graduate with a medical degree in orthopedics with a specialization in spine. Why ISM? My friend Sophia Ortiz, right here, actually told me about the program one lunch, and I was really interested, and she spent the entire 30 minutes talking about ISM. And she told me that this class offered a lot of opportunity and freedom to do what you're passionate about and helps prepare you for the future. So my topic of study this year is orthopedic surgery, narrowed down to spine surgery. So my first interview was with Dr. Samir Parikh. He was a family friend of mine. So it was really easy to interview him. He works close by, just 5 minutes down the road. But what really intrigued me about this interview was he came out right after surgery and was ready to have the interview with me, and he was in full scrubs and everything, but he had cowboy boots on. And I thought that was the most interesting thing I had ever seen in any doctor ever do, because most doctors just go in with tennis shoes or something like that. So my second interview was with Dr. Venkat Sethuraman, and he actually works in Medical City, Dallas. I think this might have been the worst interview that I'd ever had because he had the most negative outlook on the spinal field. He did not recommend being a doctor, and he said that he would not tell either of his kids to go into the medical field. He said it was the worst field to go into right now, and that spine was a dying field. My interview number 3 was with Dr. Daniel Bradley. He came recommended by Peyton Shawn, who used to be in this class. He works really close by, just right outside FC Dallas Stadium, and he's the father of Lauren Bradley, so it made me a little more comfortable talking to him during the interview. My fourth interview was with Dr. John Pelosa. He's an acclaimed doctor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He goes on mission trips every summer to Africa and helps with spine surgeries with kids in need in Africa. He invited me to a spinal conference with a professor from UConn, and they talked about the advancements in stem cell research and spinal surgery and disc herniations. And he also works at the same office as Dr. Daniel Bradley, so not too far away. My fifth interview came recommended by Coach Goff, highly recommended. He quit his job as a surgeon a couple years ago, which was quite recent, and he started Spine Care, which is his own business. And what he does is he gives free consultations to people who think they might need spine help but can't afford to go to a doctor. He works in the Dallas area, which is a little more of a poor community in the downtown-ish area. So he offers free advice and free help and like a second input if they had already gone to a doctor. And he also does surgeries at his own business, but he's more of a businessman now than he is a surgeon. His house is in the middle of downtown Dallas, so it was quite far to get to. And it took me a while, but he is still in contact with me, and we email every weekend, and he's always helping me out with questions I have about college, the medical field, and this field itself. My mentor is Dr. Daniel Bradley. I picked him mainly because we share a lot of the same values, such as equality of doctor and patient. And a lot of the doctors out there in the field right now think they're so much higher than the patient because they've gone through all these years of schooling, and they think they deserve to be in a higher place, and they think they deserve more respect than anyone. But he believes that he wants to be on the same level as the patient, so that way the patient is comfortable with him and he doesn't feel like he's superior to anyone. He has 2 locations in Frisco, which makes it really easy for me to get mentor visits in, because he works at, actually they're both right across the street from each other, which is Forest Park down at FC Dallas and Texas Back Institute at FC Dallas, or right across from FC Dallas. So some of the research I've done that I wanted to share with you guys is robotic spine surgery. And this is two different things, really. It's global surgeries and automated surgeries. And global surgeries they started doing with some of the really famous doctors here in the United States and some doctors in Japan as well. And they hook their hands up with a lot of, I don't know exactly how it works, but they put their hands in big technology gloves, and it controls a robot anywhere around the world, and they're able to perform surgeries from anywhere. This has actually been demonstrated on a man, I think he was in Southwest Asia, and he weighed over a ton, and there was a doctor that gave him a gastric bypass from America. Automated surgeries, they started in Florida with people with scoliosis, and only 2% of the people in America have scoliosis, which doesn't seem like a small number, but that's over 6 million people. So automated surgeries are going to become really helpful because you pay a lower fee because it's not actually a doctor, and you go lay down on a bed, and this surgery over time fixes your scoliosis after many visits. Another article that I read was titled "Stem Cell Therapy is Closer to Reality," and stem cell therapies have been promised since actually 1995, so exactly 20 years this year. And they've actually, in the past 5 to 10 years, they've been increasingly prevalent in the medical field, with burn victims especially, because with burn victims, their skin gets taken off and it's not been allowed to grow back. So using stem cells, the stem cells convert into skin cells and actually help regrow their skin. I think the most important one, if I'm going on a ranking system here, is Paralyzed Man Walks Again. And it was a man in Poland, if I'm not mistaken, and about 10 years ago, I think, he was stabbed in the back and when he was mugged, and he's not been able to walk or anything until last year. And last year, they found out that the olfactory bulb, which is on the underside of your brain right above your nose, which accounts for your sense of smell, generates nerve cells the most rapidly in your body. So they thought if they could take out one of his olfactory bulbs, they might be able to inject the stem cells into his spine and actually regrow his spine. It worked. The procedure completely went successful, and now he's able to slowly get back to walking. He walks on 2 crutches, and he has the little walker helper to help him walk, but he is able to take tiny steps now. He, after last year, is able to feel below his waist for the first time in 10 years, but on the downside, he is a partial loss of smell, which, pales in comparison to being able to walk again. So for my original work, I actually created this website here. You don't have to click on it. Creating a website was harder than I definitely thought it was at first. You have to go research, and given with spine surgery, there's a lot of different procedures out there and things like that, but I wanted to create a website to inform people about a few common spine surgeries, so they'd have a general information going into the room, or perhaps their loved ones or something like that. So here's the title of the website. There's a spine with I don't know exactly how many vertebrae are on this specific one, but a spine has anywhere between 32 and 36, and it just depends on how many vertebrae a human is born with, and most people are born with 33 because of their coccyx is 4, but a coccyx can be anywhere between 4 and 6 different vertebrae fused together, which is your tailbone. So this is the procedures tab, and as of now I only have 3 on there, but I'm still researching to put more on there so people will have an increased knowledge of these different surgeries. So on this presentation I just have spinal fusion on here so you guys are able to see, and this is a basic outline of what spinal fusion is and what it's there to fix. The complications that can go through spinal fusion, such as infection, bleeding, pain at the graft site, because for spinal fusion they need a skin graft. Reoccurring symptoms, so the surgery doesn't always go well, which happens with any surgery. Pseudoarthritis, which is not arthritis per se, but it's kind of when the patient doesn't develop enough bone and it feels like they have arthritis, but if this occurs, a second surgery is needed to go back and fix it. Nerve damage is possible if your surgeon isn't the best, because the blood vessels and the the nerves going through your spine are very likely to be hit by the scalpel. And then there's blood clots. Another uncommon complication is blood clots, which happens when the surgeon doesn't cauterize immediately. There's rehabilitation. The rehabilitation, obviously for any surgery, takes time, but for spine, you want to be especially careful, because if anything happens to your spine, you could be paralyzed for life. But, there's definitely a huge variety of things that could happen, so you want to be very careful with your rehabilitation. And then there's the surgery itself, which is just a very brief description of what happens during the surgery and how many different approaches it could happen, because with the spine, it's in your back, but the surgeon could go from the sides depending on where the complication is in your spine. So they could go from the back, they could go from the sides, or they could actually go from the front, which is the least likely to happen, but if it does happen, they cut open your abdomen and they move all of your internal organs, and then they work on your spine. And then I have my quote: "The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark." This was said by Michelangelo, and I feel that this quote really applies to the ISM class, because here in ISM we're given the opportunity and we're given the freedom to aim for the stars, and even if we don't hit the stars, we're still aiming high. And if we don't achieve our mark, like Michelangelo says, it's okay to fall short, because you're still achieving great heights. But if you set your aim too low and you achieve your mark, you could have aspired for so much more than just that. Thank you for your time.